I wasn't scared. I was fucking petrified, to be quite honest with you. I always looked at people that I could learn from.
Mm.
I always valued everyone that I've ever worked with, but I also had this burning desire in me that I'm going to be. If you trust, believe, and have confidence in me, I will literally bend over backwards to make sure you get what you need out of me.
Yeah.
Even to the detriment of my own health sometimes.
Can I go down that route? Can I ask you that question?
Yeah, it's a question probably everyone wants to ask, but nobody has, I suppose, the courage to ask and has that, directness.
Some of the things that make for a really successful salesperson is their ability to adapt, learn, and continue to develop their own sales skills. Now, one guy who has some serious sales skills, but not just that, the ability to help others develop their own, is my next guest, Bill Walsh. Now, if you are a sales rep online or you're in the coaching space, there's no doubt that you would have heard of his name. He basically took his business Objection Box from $0 to $1 million within the first 5 to 6 months. And he didn't do that with any crazy marketing, but he did it purely off the back of client results. If you look at his feed, there's testimonials everywhere, and it's something that he really obsesses about. For a bit of backstory, just before the pandemic hit, Bill had spent about 5 to 6 years developing his own PT business. And when the UK decided the lockdowns, his income pretty much went with it as well. And at that time, he had a young family and a baby on the way, and he found himself at a crossroads as to what to do to be able to provide for them. And that's when he fell into sales, and he found out pretty quickly that it was a good use of his time and it was pretty good. Fast forward to when he was a top performer at one of the top sales training organizations, to then being at a crossroads again to figure out what his next move would be, whether he goes into another offer or starts his own business. And I'm glad that he built Objection Box, and we got to have this chat where we got to have a look at what it takes to be a top performer, what it takes for a business owner to get results, what it takes for a business owner to grow and continue to grow beyond where they are. And we also got to see some key insights on what his values are personally and professionally, and how he carries that through to the people he works with. I hope you enjoy this conversation. It was a really good one for me to have this chat. And without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Unplugged. I've heard a little bit about your origin story. Pre-pandemic, your personal training, and then all of a sudden, fucking bam, kind of hits.
Yeah.
What happened exactly?
Well, good question. What happened exactly was in March 2020, our PM at that time, Boris Johnson, jumped on and was like, hey guys, we're just going to take 2 weeks out. Let's see where we are in 2 weeks. Everyone will go back to work. 2 weeks actually turned into nearly 2 years. Which was absolutely carnage. Now, at that time, I had obviously India, or I had Tallulah, who was 6 at that time. And then Grace was 8 months pregnant.
Wow. Okay.
I was going from making okay money in fitness to zilch. That next week. So he announced it on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, all that next week, gone. Business-wise. Gone, because they just start dropping like flies. Hey, I don't want to pay because I'm not using the gym. Hey, I don't want to pay because we're not able to train. Boom, 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 boom. By that Friday to that Tuesday, the entire business was wiped out.
Wow.
And in 45 days, that's when India was due to be born, because she was coming through a C-section. Complications from her first one. So she was pre-planned. It wasn't like she was going to pop any day. There was a date.
There was a date.
Yeah, the 7th of May, It was done, it was dusted. It was the 7th of May, that's when she was done. That's when she was due. And so from that Friday to that Tuesday, my entire income just got wiped out.
Yeah, okay.
Scary times.
Pretty instant, huh?
Yeah.
So I think, I think that's an important point. And I know a lot of people probably have gone through, very, very similar thing.
Yeah.
But very, very rare that it just goes like, from hero to zero, right? What are you thinking at that point in time when that happened? What's the backup plan? Or maybe there was no backup plan. It's just like
there wasn't any. It was pure fear. It was pure scared. It was pure bringing me back to uncertainty, panic. Oh my God, what has just happened? How are we going to survive? How are we going to be able to feed the kids? What are we going to pay the bills with? It was just not a very good time, to be quite honest with you. It brought me back to when I came to London first. I had 2 numbers in my phone. It was Grace and her dad.
Mm.
and I built the business out of that, and I
Wow.
put 7 years, 6 years into building it from there to where it was, and it brought me back to those first couple of months where I didn't know anything and I just didn't have a plan B, as you say, because I
Mm.
come from military, as you probably know.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I come from military. I got a scholarship to go to college. Come from out of there into military. Uh, so I didn't really have skills, if that makes sense. It couldn't
Mm.
be like I could just go to another insurance agency or an accounting firm. I had nothing. I
Mm.
had my body. That's how I made money
That's how
in
you
my
did it.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow. That would have been scary, scary times, right? And I, I know for a lot of people, we sort of run in some ways, through fear, right? And there's, I kind of categorize it into two parts where there's what the fear can do for you. One is that it can kick you into action or it can freeze you from doing
yeah,
anything.
yeah,
What was that like when, okay, shit, there's a deadline here for things that's going to happen.
yeah.
And you said you were scared. Like
I
what went through
was
your
I
mind there?
wasn't scared. I was fucking petrified, to be quite honest with you. I
Mm.
was petrified to. It made me. It made me feel inadequate. It made me
Right.
feel that I wasn't good enough to bring another baby into the world. It made me feel that I wasn't, like I was incapable of taking care of people.
Mm-mm.
And it
Yeah.
brought me
Okay.
back to, as a child, not having control of things. And I've never wanted to be in a position ever again where I don't have control of things.
Mm. Yeah.
It brought me to a place where I just felt that I wasn't, I suppose, capable of being a dad. A big portion of being a dad for me is being able to provide. That's a big portion of
That's a
my
big.
life. That's a big portion for me and who I feel and my identity
Yeah.
is being able to take care of the people I love. You know,
Yeah. That's a scary. I mean, like for me, that's my biggest fear.
Imagine waking up one day and not being able, like having no income come into your household
Mm.
and no idea what you're going to do.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
That's full on. That's full on.
Yeah,
So what? So then, because I've got an idea of how you felt. You kind of fell into sales, I guess.
yeah.
At that point, is that sort of the time where things just came up and you thought I've got to make some money somewhere, and this
Well,
is
it
the thing to
wasn't.
do?
It wasn't necessarily like it was me that uh, went after sales. It was more like sales came and knocking on the door. To be quite honest, I had a friend of
Mm.
mine who was running a gym at the time, and it just literally opened up a second premise, and had about 10 mouths to feed through the business, and then his own family. And he
Yeah.
came to me and said, "Look, I got to figure something out here, or else we're in trouble."
Mm.
So he said to me, "Look, I know you've done your own online sales because I used to be an online kind of PT and all those great things, and I've
Mm.
done really well with people. Like I coached a lady back out of a wheelchair. She was medically
Oh wow.
disabled. Yeah, like
Wow.
medically disabled, like
Jesus.
disabled. You know what I mean? Like had a wheelchair that she had a stick to move the wheelchair.
Yeah. Wow.
And coached her back so she could get both her hips done, and she's back walking now. She was medically in a wheelchair with 10 plus years. So I done really, really well with it, and my friend saw that, and he said to me, "Look, I have an idea. Let's start pushing more onto the online aspects of things. Let's sell a 1799 program, and
Yeah.
let's do an upsell on the back for like $80 a month." So we started this kind of process. We were selling push-ups, jumping jacks, and sit-ups because there was no gyms open. There was no gyms open, and there was no place that people could get equipment. So all we had was body weight.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So we started this kind of process, and I was running the sales for it. And I think we did like 36 sales in the first week. And
Wow.
I made more money selling programs than I was
Doing the
running
PT.
programs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the penny dropped. I just looked at Grace and I was like, maybe something here, Grace. We may have something here. But I was completely petrified of it. I'll
Yeah.
be honest with you, I was completely petrified because, do you know when you struggle for so long,
Yeah.
and then you get to the top of somewhere and you're not necessarily struggling. It's kind of like when I was in military when we would just be walking uphill,
Mm.
and the weight of the bags and the guns and the water and the ammunition, you just never think it's going to end. That's how I felt for 6, 7 years of building a fitness business, just completely
Wow.
slugging it up the hill. And in military, when you actually hit the flat, compared to uphill, it's like a brand new day.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt when I had the end of the week and I had like 36 sales.
Yeah.
I was getting like, I don't know, half 50% comms on it. So I was
Wow.
making, I don't know, what was it?
You was
Maybe
doing
35
1800.
pounds,
So
40 pound a sale,
yeah.
for a half an hour phone call. And I was like, got to the top of, like, in my head, I got to the top and it flattened out. And I was like, looking around, I was like, there's no way this is it. There's no
Yeah.
way we can stop here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting time.
Did you know what? Well, at the time anyway, when you were selling the stuff, did you have any like strategy, structure, or was it kind of just, hey, I need to sell this stuff, or this is good
Yeah,
for you, and I've got something, and that's kind of the transaction.
that was it. There was like a rough idea of a sales structure, and I was like, okay, I know after a couple, like after 5 calls, I know I'm going to have to handle objections. So
Yeah.
I just went off on this mission to get really really good at objections,
Yeah.
which I did, because you can't sell push up, sit ups, and fucking jumping jacks in the height of the coronavirus if you can't handle objections. Now the
Yeah. For
objections
sure.
were, think about it, time, money, partner, fear, logistics. I called those my big six. But
Yeah.
on top of it all, Patrick, we also had people were dying, people were losing their jobs. It was 30 degrees here in London. People
Mm.
had no equipment. The gyms were completely closed. We had all the objections. We had like 15 objections on calls.
Mm. Fitness is the last thing probably on people's minds. Is just
Completely. Yeah,
Yeah.
completely. So we had all that kind of struggle as well. So yeah, it was a funny time, but puts us here where we are
Where you
today.
are now. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. For sure. Would you say sort of from that experience, like you said, something sort of clicked, and you thought, hey, this is something that could be really good.
Yeah.
How then did you move from that to what was the next step after that for you? Bigger,
Yeah.
better
So
things, or what
yeah, we,
happened?
we were kind of tinkering around with some of my own online clients for the rest of that summer. Then India was born in May. So I had an idea where we were like, I can do sales for 20, 30 hours a week, and then I can still be a dad to a newborn baby, because
Mm.
she was waking up every 2 hours. So
Yeah,
that carnage was going on as well.
yeah,
And then everyone was in the house. My 6-year-old had to be stimulated and everything like that. So there was loads going on at that time. So I was kind of half in sales, half in fitness, half delivering or fitness, half like on the fulfillment aspects of fitness. And so I was half in, half out.
yeah,
And then it came to January 2021. And then I just said, no more fitness. Everyone, we're stopping. January 2021, I'm out. I started full time then in sales. By
yeah. Okay.
March, and I was running the company then that kind of really propelled things. Yeah.
Yeah.
From
Wow.
March, I was just all in then.
Yeah. Okay. And so at that point, you kind of made that firm decision that this was going to be it, right? Is that sort of how it
Yeah,
came
it
about?
was kind of at that stage where I had like 5 months back to back of really good income, making more than I ever had in fitness. And I was like,
Mm.
look, if I really want to take this on, and I could just see the uplift. The downside was no. I just go back to fitness, and I knew I could take a chance. I knew I could go for it. You know what I mean? So once I
Yeah.
started in January 2021, it was like, okay, how do I get the best that I can ever be as quickly as I can do it?
Yeah. For
That was
sure.
the headspace I
That
was
was
in.
it. Yeah. And I guess when you come in, when you would have come in at that time, you probably come across a lot of people who are very seasoned, right? They've been doing it for loads and
Yeah,
loads of years
yeah,
and months or whatever it is, right? More experience. How did
yeah.
that? How did that? How did you take that? Did you take it as you can learn from these people, or there's things you can improve? Like, what was sort of your mindset
I
coming into it?
always, I always looked at people that I could learn from.
Mm.
I always valued everyone that I've ever worked with, but I also had this burning desire in me that I'm going to beat you.
Mm. Yeah.
And it never goes. Even when I was in fitness, even when I was in playing high level sports, even in the day to day of things, if I play a puzzle with the girls, I have to win, and it's awful, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
I'd rather
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I looked at people that were already in the company, and I said to myself, "I respect you. I'm going to learn from you, but in time, I'm going to beat you."
Mm.
And I don't need people to know that. I need to know that. That's all
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
for me. And even to this day, it is the exact same way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think that's an important point that you bring up there. Being in sales, it is a tough game,
Yeah.
especially if your skill level isn't quite there. It can be a really hard slog, but it can also be rewarding if you do pick up the right skills, right?
and you know
Did
what
you
you're
have
doing.
to face a lot of rejection, or like, was there a point where you go, man, this is a tough thing, I'm going to get better at it, or did you feel like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. It's a good question because look, there's a large amount of my life where I've been rejected.
Mm.
You know, there's a large amount of my life where I always tell people like there's four things that'll happen in sales. There's four things that'll happen on any with sales calls, and once you get over this kind of hang up of the outcome, then you'll be perfectly. There's four things, Patrick.
Yeah.
One is yes, two is
Mhm.
no, three is fuck you, and four I'm hanging up.
Yeah. So
Like
true.
that's it. Like those are the only four things that'll happen on a sales call at
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah.
And from where I've come from and what I've done and what I've gone through to get to where I am today, wherever that may even be, wherever people's perception where that even is, who even
Mm.
cares? But I just look at that four avenues of where this could end up, and I just said to myself, none of those hurt me.
Mm.
You know, I'm in my own home, in my own office, my own little office. I'm three doors away from my bedroom. I'm probably never going to speak to you again if you say no. Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
So I from what I've done and like being in military and being in high level sports where every game you have to show up and you know being in London building a fitness business which is probably one of the hardest areas in the entire world to build. I think New York, California, Sydney probably as well. Um, Going toe to toe with people, you literally eat what you kill.
Yeah.
Uh, I've been seasoned, do you know. So when I came into sales full time, I had already 6 years of rejection.
All the yeah. You
You
toughened
know,
up your
people
skin
don't see that.
quite a bit already. Yeah.
You know, people don't see that. People see going from being in sales January 2021 to being a millionaire by probably the end of 2022.
Yeah.
You know, and people see that and they say, wow, great,
Yeah.
good for you. But they didn't see the 6 years of building a business in the UK. They didn't see the 4.5 years of being shouted in my face every day for dirty shoes. They didn't
Mm.
see 10 years of being on high performance teams and literally having to show up every single training, every single match, every single day in your nutrition, your preparation. So
Mm.
everything has prepared me in a way that I've always been high performing, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. You
Yeah.
know?
For sure. For sure. And I think a lot of people will take something out of that, whatever profession they're in, right? Because I think, yeah, to get success, we only really focus and see like the end result, right?
Yeah.
Where you eat shit for so long and then all of a sudden you're an overnight superstar. And I think that a lot of people don't appreciate that enough. And that's something that I learned from a lot and that's part of the reason why I ask a lot of these questions is I want to see the struggle. I want to see what happens when you're eating shit and
Yeah. Yeah.
how do you deal with that? So like, say, for example, for you, we're talking about, over that time you built a rougher exterior to rejection and all those sort of things. How do you do that? Like, how do you mentally prepare for that sort of stuff? Is it, you've got a military background, so that's probably got a lot to do with it. But for the layman person or the civilian, what do you think is a
Yeah,
good thing there?
it's a good question, and it's a. I always say to myself, like, "What? Show me your life experience, and I'll show you how far you go."
Mm,
What I mean by that is, if
mm,
like you're 21 and you're trying to make it in sales, you probably don't have enough rejection in your life to fucking be excellent. The
yeah.
reason I say that is because this thing right here has softened the entire world. This thing right here has
Mm.
ultimately softened our perception of easy. You
Yes.
know, I didn't have those weren't out. Yes, I had Nokia 90210s or something like that, and
Yeah.
we had Snake. You know, but I think
Yeah.
21-year-olds, 18-year-olds coming into the world of sales now just have this perception that 3 months of training you're going to just make 20K.
Mm.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so to kind of build out the resilience, I think you should be getting no's everywhere you go. I think you should
Mm.
be humbled in everything that you do. And I was very humbled in a way where at the top line of when you're fighting for titles in sports,
Mm.
you win and you lose. That
Yeah.
humbles you.
Yeah.
When I went to military, that humbled me. I had to stand in a line for hours on end some days. You know, it takes away your I suppose your swagger as per se.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
that you're king of the world when you have a 45-year-old man screaming in your face at 4 o'clock on the side of a mountain in the morning.
Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it kind of
Yeah. For
humbles
sure.
you.
Yeah. That is.
So I don't know. I think a lot of life experience has humbled me, but it's
Mm.
also made me. as people see, I'm very direct and very structured, but I'm very hard on the outside. But once you come in, I'm very soft on the inside. So
I can see that.
yeah,
I can see that for sure. I think sometimes you do. I was going to bring that up. Is this kind of where, like your no BS approach, which a lot of people kind of know you for? You're direct, but at the end of it is, again, people see the hard exterior, the BS, no BS. But I know from having worked with some people that is in your inner circle, that they all say that you give a shit the most out of
yeah,
anyone they've worked with, right? It's that
yeah,
is that kind of part of it that you just have to protect these people and be able to help them? Is that kind
yeah.
of
Yes, it's another great question. I've always been in a protection mood since
mm,
I was a kid. So I've got an older brother and I got a twin,
yeah,
and I've always been in a state of protection. I've always been in a state where I wanted to take care of the people I love and take care
mm,
of the people that value me. So big things for me are loyalty, integrity, and respect. Those are
yeah,
three things that I ultimately desire
yeah,
and ultimately have in my life. And if you don't provide any of those three things, you're not in my life.
mm, fair
So
call.
I've always like I've been around a lot of people and had lots of conversations and had lots of relationships with people. And I always like it's good that you bring that up in terms of like in my inner circle and stuff like
Mm,
that. Is if you trust, believe, and have confidence in me, I will literally bend over backwards to make sure you get what you need out of me,
mm, yeah,
even to the detriment of my own health sometimes.
sure, yeah,
And I've
I
always
can
been
see
like
that.
that. I've always been like that. Even as a kid, I've always taken care of my brother. I've
Mm.
always taken care of my mother. I've always taken care of my loved ones.
Sounds like a
Just
responsibility put on your shoulders.
a
Was that
lot.
by you or?
I think yes, not necessarily enforced on me, more so a protection and not wanting to see the people that you love hurt.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
to this day, with the kids,
Oh,
someone brushes across one of the kids, like I go straight into like DEFCON
protect.
zero.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so and even into this day, if someone said something to one of my internal team, like
Mm,
we're going to have it out. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
So
for sure. I'll back you
very
on that one.
protective of the people I have a lot of respect for. And that's what
Yeah.
it comes out. I only got a message from Kevin Nakamura this morning.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah,
I know that's why I dropped him in there because I know
yeah.
about like just really grateful and really thankful because like he came in, he was making zilch, nada,
Yeah,
not a
yeah.
thing. And now he's turning over 20K months.
It's
So
amazing, man.
that's life changing for him.
Yeah.
And I respect that. And those kind of messages, makes me hungry to help more and
Mm.
more people because we just know what we're doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think that's a pretty good segue to, the things that you mentioned about, loyalty, integrity, those sort of things.
Yeah.
Can I go down that route? Can I ask you that question,
Yeah, of course you can.
which I know a lot of people who know probably either already know or whatnot. But what happened? How come you ended up being out on your own, running your own business?
Yeah, it's a question probably everyone wants to ask, but nobody has, I suppose, the courage to
Sure.
ask and has that, directness. Um, so a lot of different initial things happened. There's a lot of internal conversations that were happened that didn't get fulfilled.
Yeah.
And as I've just gone through, I felt the integrity, the respect, the loyalty started to dwindle away
Yeah.
once I wanted more. Once I felt, not that I wanted more, once I felt that I deserved more.
Yeah. Yes.
And the
You
only
got
way
to
you
that point.
deserve more is you produce more,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Especially in sales, right? Yeah. That's the mark.
Yeah.
That's the benchmark. Yeah.
So like, there's two things that I value in my company. There's two things that you have to provide if you work for me. You got to provide a lot of volume and you got to provide a lot of value.
Mm.
When I was
Yeah.
running seventh level, I provided a lot of those,
You sure?
but the reimbursement wasn't there,
Wasn't there?
and
Yeah.
the projection and I suppose the promotional aspect things weren't there.
Mm.
We had a time when I was out in Arizona one time. I'll just tell you this. I was out in
Sure.
Arizona one time and we were sitting in Brad Lee's office, if everyone knows
Mm.
who Brad Lee is.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we were there was a deal to be done with Bradley, which was perfectly fine. That I wasn't a part of. I was just there as a groupie, as per se,
Yeah.
which was great, wonderful. You get to meet great people,
Get to see. Yeah.
and we sat in an office, and I was told when we got back, because I was in Arizona at that time. When we got back, we're making some internal adjustments. And I know you're kind of head of the sales at the moment, but we are going to officially announce that, and you're going to run that, and you're going to get an override of the team and X, Y, and Z. So fantastic, brilliant, I said.
Awesome.
Brilliant, awesome. And at that stage, the company were growing. We were probably an 8-figure company at that time. We were doing really, really good stuff. So to get that kind of title after 12 months of being in sales, less than 12 months, was a big deal.
That's a big deal.
It was
Yeah.
a big jump.
Yeah.
So we got back to London. Nothing had happened for 2 weeks. We jump on an internal meeting, and one of the owners jumps on, who was never there. And look, we don't need to go into names or whatever, but
Yeah.
we jump on, and there's this other guy that came into the company with about 2 weeks. And the owner that we had a little bit of, I suppose, I felt we had other conversations, and that lack of that lack of respect had gone by that stage, and it was a very working relationship, and it was a
Yeah.
more do as I say, and that's all that it's going to be
That's what it is. Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
And for me, it just brought me back to military. I'm like, no one's going to treat me like that again. So our relationship had completely separated, and it was just all business, at
Yeah.
that stage, which I don't mind. I don't mind as long as I know, and as long as there's no mixing of the wines, I'm perfectly fine.
Yeah.
The day that you do things behind my back is the day that the relationship is over. But anyway, so this guy jumped on the call. He says, we got a big announcement to make. We've got, people that will want to move up and things like that. And so just remember, this guy had come into the company with about 2 weeks, came
Yeah.
from a different company. And the part owner jumped on and says, we're promoting so-and-so, and Bill is just going to keep doing what he's doing. No conversation, no
Surprise.
reach out, no message, no anything.
Yeah.
And I was like looking around, thinking to myself, there's a camera here, are they?
Yeah.
Is someone joking? I was thinking to myself, there's someone going to pop out and say April Fools or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I kind of got off that call very disorientated, very kind of, hurt, to be quite honest with you.
Sure.
I felt disrespected in a large essence. And I
Yeah.
went to the guy that we had the conversation with, which is the 2IC now of that entire company.
Yeah.
And I said the conversation we had in Las Vegas, the outcome of what we had today, what is going on? Help me understand. And I was told, this is your ego speaking, and you feel you're being disrespected when it's not my decision. And I was looking at him as to say, okay, it's not your decision, but it was your decision to tell me that we were going to be promoted.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from there, then it kind of really separated a lot of the stuff.
And it was already fractured a little bit, right? It was already sliding.
Fractured at that stage anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was told I could coach as well and other things, and I could be, take on coaching clients, because I was just inundated with people that wanted to get coached. And I was told, yes, you can do that because we're bringing in and building out a team.
Yeah.
That other avenues like calls and stuff like that had to be spread out across the team. At that time, I was probably running 75% of the revenue.
Wow.
So
significant. Yeah.
Yeah. So at that time, then they started to bring in other closers, as per se, and spread out the quality, which was perfectly fine. So I said, that's great, but I got to make this because this is what I'm making. So then I was allowed coach. Then it came back around. They were like, yeah, you can coach, but we want 80% of the revenue. And I was like, sorry? And I was like, that's not going to happen. You need to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
And then they came back and they were like, no, we'll settle for 70. I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen either. And then there was a contract that needed to be signed, which basically meant that you were, an employee with no employee rights. And I was one out of 145 people that said no.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
So then I just got a phone call one day and said, yeah, you're out. You're fired. And I was like,
that was it.
That was it.
Top producer.
Yeah, and now we're in a stage where we'll probably clear multiple high seven figures this year in less than a year. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
probably a
amazing.
sore one.
Yeah.
That's a sore one for him. But it is what it is. That's life, and that's the relationship and how it ends. And I'm sure they have their own truth and X, Y, and Z, and somewhere in the middle they will
Mm.
potentially be dead truth. But
Yeah.
that's what I saw from my point of view.
Wow. No, I appreciate you sharing that because I think there's a lot of lessons. Not, obviously it's a shit thing to happen,
Yeah,
and unfortunately it does happen around. But then it goes back to, okay, now you've got like the second slap almost, pandemic. You've got this. You climbed up. You got this. How come you didn't go? Fuck it, I'm just going to go and find somewhere else that's going to pay me what I'm worth. Why go down the route of risking, you know, income, which,
yeah,
granted you're commission only, but I think by that stage, if you're at that level, you can demand a little bit more
yeah.
compensation. What was the thought behind that?
When I left, when I didn't leave, I got fired. When I got fired,
Mm.
I put out one post,
Yeah.
and within 3 days, I had 13 offers. So, and that was only just saying, hey, separated from X, Y, and Z company, taking some time with the family, but appreciate everyone and, really valued my time.
Mm.
Just a thank you, public thank you. And look, don't want to
Yeah.
have a conversation based on it. It was pretty raw at that time. I was pretty hurt. And over the next 3, 4 days, I had 13, 14 offers.
Wow.
Now, I don't mean offers like just come in and have a look at this. I mean offers like come in and run the company and we'll go to
This is
partnerships
the
and stuff.
money. Yeah. Yeah.
So we had a lot of offers on the play. So in my head, I was like, okay, those offers aren't necessarily going to go away,
Mm.
because they know that I'm here. But I always had a coaching aspect in me. I always led people, Patrick,
Yeah.
sports, military, fitness, sales. I always led teams. I always led people. I always led myself. So I knew that was in me. So what I actually wanted to do was I was going to take on some clients, and then I was going to figure out in a couple of months
Mm.
which company I was going to help build.
Yeah.
And then the Objection Box just took off. And I was like, yeah, we're not doing anyone else's company. Why would I build someone else's company if I can just build my
No.
own?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
And then
was the
5 months
concept.
later, 5 months later, was it 5 months when you hit that milli,
4 months,
when you
four
got
and a
that
half
thing
months,
behind you?
yeah. Hmm.
How did it feel when you got to that point? Because I know, and with some context about how it feels, right? Just for the
Yeah.
people listening, maybe come across you for the first time. Like,
Hmm.
yes, it's a great feat to have, but I know, having watched your journey through it, there's a lot of doubters that
Sure.
come your way, right? A lot of, not necessarily just people doubting your ability to do it, but almost, I
Not wanting
feel,
you to do it.
yeah, not, I was going to say, yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
the right right words to do it.
Yeah. Because people, in my opinion, and don't take this the wrong ways, and just like think that I'm pumping ego and my own ego and my own self image. A lot of people are scared
Mm, yeah,
because a lot of people are in a position where they have it comfortable and
yeah,
they're spinning a narrative of it has to be this way. I've come
yes,
in, completely rocked the entire boat, the entire industry,
yeah,
you know, broke it
yeah,
down to 4 parts,
mm,
4 things you need to accomplish, 4 things you need to do to make sales consistently.
yeah,
And I have over 1,200 testimonials in 6 months
yeah,
from consistent wins, not one person winning once, like the same person, 10, 12, 14 testimonials, win after win after win. So I know it works.
mm,
So a lot of people, in my opinion, are don't want other people to come into the sandbox. Why?
mm,
Because there's only so many sands to push
yeah,
around, and people don't want competition.
yeah,
As they say, your boss will never pay you enough, so he'll be your neighbor. You know,
yeah, yeah. That's
so
true. That's true.
that's what I've experienced. But I also have great people in the industry, great friends like Eli,
Mm,
Shoni Ray. Like there's loads
yeah,
of great people in the industry and loads of great people that really want other people to do well, which I
mm,
always do as well. You
yeah,
know,
for sure. What do you think then might have been different in the way that you approached it? Because there's, again, there's coaches, consultants, online business owners that have been
yeah,
either trying to make it for a long time or they're plateauing. They've made a certain amount and they're plateauing.
yeah.
What's been different with the way that you've done it? Can you put it down to something besides
Um,
results? Obviously, you're getting results. So
yeah, it's. I think a large amount of it is results. You know, when you consistently pump the amount of results that we do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, it's hard to ignore it. Like
mm,
we're in a position again, no ego, where it's completely undeniable.
yeah,
Like there is literally no way, hope in hell that you come in, you train, you develop, you learn from me and the guys, that you won't make extra money. Like you won't
yeah,
turn it on its head. So we have that net, we have that kind of name in the market now
yeah,
after less than 8 months,
yeah,
which is fantastic.
for
Which
sure.
is we poured our life into it and done
Mm.
really well. But I think a large amount of it is we've had no ads either.
Yeah, I was going to say you've been. I imagined that you've been 100% organic with this, right?
All organic, yeah,
Word of
phone
mouth
hunt,
and
organic, yeah,
yeah,
all organic.
yeah,
Because I spent 2 years, I spent 18 months pouring into everyone else for free.
mm,
And when
yeah,
I went to the casino with my chips, I cashed in.
yeah,
But I built up a tremendous amount of, yes, you can
yeah.
call it respect,
Reputation
but
and
reputation.
yeah,
And then it's just compounded with the consistency of the results on a daily basis.
yeah. I think if I could just touch on that too, because again, a lot of coaches, online business owners, they can get to a certain level without reputation, right? They can pay for it
Yeah,
almost to get to a
yeah,
certain point, 30, 20, 40, 50K a month. But I know
mm,
at some point to go any further or to really stamp yourself as a good business, you do need the
yeah,
reputation, right? Either results or do good by people.
yeah.
I think that's an important thing. And then it comes down to the product that you're offering. What do you think then for you, is like, why is your offer so different to most? Like, why do you get such good results? Do you know what I mean? Besides the
Besides
frameworks
giving a
that you
shit,
use. Was that?
it's besides actually giving a shit,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, which is probably the most important one.
yeah,
I think the framework is obviously really, really important. But I think for me, I've cut out all the bullshit that people think that they have to have. You
yeah. Okay.
know, I think a
Yep.
lot of people sell on problems and pain
Yes. Yep.
and probing and clarifying from the world that I came from, Jeremy. I think
Yep.
a lot of people over examine conversations and over examine the outcome of what people want.
Yeah.
So I give a kind of very clear and concise process that you can literally plug and play and imitate the results that we get, which is a big thing. But I also think like that what really pushes you up and on, you like the difference between a company that does 50,000 a month and a company like I do that do 300K a month in the first
Mm.
8 months
Yeah.
is team, vision,
Yep.
process, and fulfillment.
Mm.
You have all of those things in the right place, and you can be 20% on one, but I will never go below 90% fulfillment.
Mm.
And if I
Yeah.
do, we're pulling back because that's the most important thing for me. Fulfillment
Mm.
over anything is the most important thing over all the amount of money in Saudi Arabia. I'm telling you that. Like
Yeah.
it's because my name, reputation, and the results that we get has to be the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Apple, like how many products can they bring out? They can bring out hundreds of
Oh,
products,
whatever
but
they
they
want.
all
Yeah.
know the quality is what number one.
It's just number one. Yeah.
And people will in like I say spend and I'll say invest for coaching. People will spend whatever they want to have the newest thing because they know the quality is the best and it could sync up across all the different products and it's just so easy. So I think product is definitely important, but I think your name, your fulfillment, and your
Mm.
reputation are the most important things.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think that's talked enough or talked about enough. I know
No,
with some of the clients that we work with, we're very much on client journey, before sales, because that helps. So I think that's an important thing. If I can then sort of segue and switch gears a little bit more towards the salesperson
yeah.
side, people you deal with every day, what makes somebody worth working with as far as a sales rep is concerned? So if you're a coach and you're wanting to hire someone, a lot of coaches, they hire based on results, based on
Yeah.
those sort of things. Like, what do you think is important if you're going to work with somebody in your program? How do you know that they're the person that's going to be able to take it and implement it? Where does that sort of fit?
For me, it depends. Like if I hire or if I coach, because you're like you can go two ways with that kind of question, and I'll explain both. If I
Yeah.
hire, you gotta be in a position where I feel that you can be one of the guys.
Yeah.
And I always tell my guys, everyone thinks they're the guy until the guy walks in the room. Everyone thinks they're it until the guy actually walks in. You
Yeah.
know, the guys always laugh. But I think it's really important, and I think you have that swag. You have to have that confidence in your ability, and you have to have that swagger. But it can't be blind swagger. You have to
Mm.
back it up with results and consistency, which is something I've always done. You know, so
Yeah.
I can look for people and I can see who has it in them. You know, and I'll always do my best to develop those people and help them internally. Externally, if I'm bringing people into my world, into my training, the standard is very, very high. And what I mean
Yeah.
by that is it's set in stone. This is how I work. This is what I work, and this is what I'm going to provide you. And if you don't meet that criteria, then you're gone.
Yeah.
You won't result. You won't turn into a result. So it's kind of very much set in stone, and people know that before they come and speak to me. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you want to go and work with Bill, he's not going to be your friend.
Yeah.
Not that I don't want to, but it's not my main priority. My main priority is for you to get a result,
To get
and after
results.
that, we will be friends.
Yeah, for sure.
You
For
know,
sure.
so I think standards, and I think as business owners, I think a lot of people bring in the wrong type of people
Mm.
because they need to liquidate ads, they need to liquidate teams, they need to liquidate systems and stuff like that. I was not very fortunate. I went a different route. I was like, I'm not bringing in the wrong people to liquidate ads.
Yeah.
So I went to my network, and from my network, other people's network entered into my network from people that connected and saw results, and then they went, and then they saw. So it kind of built that way. Um, Now we're in a position where we can amplify already what we're doing, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of businesses do it the wrong way. I think a
Yeah.
lot of businesses go out to a completely green market and try to persuade and influence people that you're going to be it without actually being it.
Yeah.
Now, if I go to the market and I just say to people, I can get you X, Y, and Z, it's already proven. It's all
Mm.
the results are already there. You come
Yeah.
into my network, it's good to go. It's undeniable.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people go back to the front. And then what happens is that they put too much into the ads to get people, and the cost of acquisition goes up,
Goes up. Yeah.
which means then that you got to drive your price up or your investment up, which means then that your fulfillment is going to come down because you can't actually fulfill,
Yeah.
and then it just becomes a fucking carnage. It
Yeah.
goes
Yeah.
all over
For
the
sure.
place,
Yeah, I've
you
seen
know.
that a lot actually. Yeah, in a lot of offers that I've either worked in or not taken at all, because I think it's important to be in the right places where they're doing
Yeah,
the right things as well. So then, as a business owner who has a team, like how do you see working with individuals versus this being a team sport? Because let's face it, like a lot of people come to do remote closing or
yeah,
be in a remote situation because they want to have a lifestyle as much as anything else and also make the money. So what do
yeah.
you think makes a what's a good makeup of a team as far as good individuals versus
Good.
a good team?
I think the aspect of building a great team is overrated in my eyes.
Mm.
I don't need a load of cheerleaders,
Yeah.
you know. And I think great companies have a couple of mavericks, and everyone just aspires to be the maverick,
Mm.
you know. So I've always been a lone wolf, you know, and
Yeah.
I've developed people, coached people internally when I was running 7th level and stuff like that. But more often than not, I wanted to be on my own because I could just do my thing and I
Yeah.
could just produce. So I think the over aspect of building out great cultural teams and shit like
Mm.
that, I think it's
Yeah.
overrated, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I'm a very singular focus, value and volume. You do those two things. And you have to understand as well, Patrick, like A players, who do they want to hang around with?
Yeah. They want to hang out with the same people, right?
Like they don't want to hang around with people that are like, how do I do a follow up? How do
Yeah.
I make a sale? Oh, I want to get to 5K a month. Like the A player wants to get to 50.
Mm.
And he only wants to rub shoulders with guys that are doing that too.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't, he's not grown internally. He or she is not grown internally, which means they can't produce externally. You know, I'd rather have
Yeah.
5 absolute killers
Yeah.
than 15 people that I have to babysit.
Yeah.
That's me personally. And I
Yeah,
know
for sure.
other people then go across the board, but I can build A players. I've
Mm,
no interest in building a team of B players or C players.
yeah.
Waste of time.
Well, I think that's another thing too is that people get a little bit put off because of the development of the time that's
Yeah,
involved in doing that, or getting A players that they don't know how to manage, or they try to over manage
yeah. You
as
shouldn't
well.
manage them anyway.
Mm,
There's no management. Just leave them do their thing.
mm,
Just make sure that they fill in the form.
yeah,
Don't be doing 15 different team meetings every single week. Leave them do their thing. That's what they
yeah,
do. They don't need your babysitting. They don't like my little girl now at this moment. She's like 3, and without being an arsehole about it, she's an A player. I know she is because I can see it.
yeah,
Because she doesn't want to be on a harness.
yeah,
She wants what she wants, and she's going to get it no matter what. Whether she screams, bawls, or cries, or she's going to be the happiest child in the world.
yeah,
Whereas my first one was very placid. She was very chilled out, very
mm,
relaxed. You know what I mean? You rub her belly, she falls asleep.
yeah.
Where my second one is like, I am it. Like, this
She
is where
knows
we're at.
where it's
And
at.
I know
Yeah,
you. How many kids do you have?
I've got one actually
One.
around the pandemic time too, so she's 2.5.
Yeah. When you have your second one, hopefully, please God, touch
Yeah,
wood, you'll start to see the differences in personalities and stuff
yeah,
like
for
that.
sure.
And so I look at my little girl and I'm like, don't hold her back. Like,
Mm,
don't be doing stuff that's going to prevent her from learning. Like, she's in play school when all the other play schools are 4 and 5 years of age. She was 2.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? So her development is much faster than my
faster.
first one because
Yeah,
she was 6 when India was born. So her development is getting really, really pushed on quickly. So I'm
yeah,
like she's not going to go in a harness. She's not going to go in her buggy. Let's not just bring it. I'll just carry her.
just carry.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know that
I know
too.
what that's like. I know what
Yeah.
that's like by now, for
So
sure.
I think like A players don't need to be managed in a per se. They need to be known that you're there for
Mm,
them.
yeah,
But I think they just need scope to do their thing.
yeah.
You know,
They
once
just
a
need the
week,
opportunity to
just
work.
have a
Yeah,
team meet, like a long team meeting, 10 minutes, 3 times a week is what I do.
yeah.
10 minutes, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. What are your numbers? What are your projections? What are you stuck with? Nothing. See ya.
See ya. Yep. Yeah, for
Once a
sure.
week, then we have a long training session. That's it. And where
Yeah,
we're going back and forth. That's all
yeah,
we do. And
yeah,
we're in communication. They have my WhatsApp, whatever, and that's it.
yeah,
You know.
for sure. I think that's a good lesson. It's something that I've been sort of going on about in some of my posts about
Yeah.
running. Right, if you're going to run a meeting, run it short. I think
Yeah.
it's got to be
I
quick,
learned that from
concise. Don't
Gary
waste time.
Vaynerchuk. I
Mm.
learned that from Gary Vaynerchuk and Elon Musk.
Yeah, well, Elon Musk. Yeah, if you got nothing to contribute, just get the fuck out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I learned that and I was like, okay, those guys are really successful. Maybe there's something in
Maybe
that.
there's
I remember when we
something
were
on that.
yeah, I remember when we were sales snapper, we had to be on a fucking
Mm.
team meeting 1 hour a day or half an hour every single day.
Yeah,
Then it went to an
yeah,
hour. You're like, why? Do you know what I mean? It's like, and it was
yeah,
like right in the middle of my cell. It was like 3 o'clock in the day or 2 o'clock in the day, and it just completely rattled my cage.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah,
for
it
nothing.
does mess up the flow, and it takes
Yeah,
up calendar space too, right? Where
it
you could
does.
be making money.
That's 20 hours a week or 20
Mm.
hours a month that I'm wasting talking about, shit that doesn't have anything got to do with me.
Yeah, not going to really help you get more clients.
Yeah,
Um,
10 minutes in and out. That's what I say.
yeah, that's what I
And if
reckon
you don't
too.
need anything, let's move. You're the other side, Patrick. Sorry, you're the other
Mm,
side where you're building out teams
mm,
and you're really pushing and helping companies. And there's only a certain amount of A players, and you know the difference. You know the
yeah,
difference
you can
straight
tell
away
the
from
difference.
production.
Yeah,
But the problem is, you cannot build a team just on one A player. You have to build teams and supporters and people that can feed into it. Because if you're running 10 companies and you're helping 10 business owners, you may only have 5 A players in your network
mm,
who you can pull and drag from this, that, and the other stuff, and they can help
for
and do
sure.
stuff. So I'm very fortunate because I've only one singular focus,
Yeah,
and that's my company at this moment in time.
mm,
Where how you generate your income is based on the development from other companies, so
mm.
it's a little bit different. So I'm probably not. You won't be able to build a business on my model. You know what I mean? So your job is like building people up,
Yeah,
where I'm like a headhunter looking for my guys.
mm,
I'd
yeah,
rather have less guys than more guys. Whereas you
for sure.
have to constantly build people up, you know.
Yeah.
So it's different.
It's a
But that's just
balance.
my view. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. It's definitely a balance. And I know when I, work with guys that, in your circles anyway, I kind of know what to expect, like pretty consistently.
Yeah,
You
they're
know.
good to go.
So, and same thing when when we're talking about somebody who I'm going to place with another client. Again, I already know what they can expect, from it. So, which is a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Man, I just wanted to ask to kind of to wrap us up a little bit. You've done really well, obviously in a short period of time, and it continues to go down this way.
Yeah.
What does it look like in this 2023, in this next 12 months? What is it going to?
Great
What's
question.
Objection Box going to change into, or morph into, or
It's a great
develop into?
question. I had a conversation with a guy who I have a lot of value for. Nick is his name, and just helped him with his internal team to really turn it on. And he's 15 years as a marketer in this space.
Yeah,
And I said to him, I sat with him, and I said, I'm feeling a bit, how would I say, not lost, but like directionless as such. Because for the first 6 months of the business, it was more of a case of my whole headspace was get as many results as quick as we can, as consistent as we can, and then we'll lift our head up and see the fuck where we are. That was
yeah,
just all my focus. That was the singular focus. I didn't have a 10-year plan. I didn't even have a 1-year plan. I had a
yeah,
6-month plan. I'm going to pour my head and heart and soul into this. I'm actually going to, like, for the first month, I gave it away.
yeah,
And then I was
yeah.
like, I did, because we went like the first month, like, did for buttons. And everyone was getting like massive results. And I was like, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. But we're going up, and then we kept going up and up and up, and the results never stopped. They got better because,
Yeah.
as you know, when you build a business, the more the investment is, the higher quality people you get, and that's not being disrespectful. That's just the way it goes.
That's the way it is. Yeah,
Because
for sure.
it's just they're just able to do things quicker, and they're just straight away. As
Yeah,
you grow up, and I said this to a guy the other day, as you push up the investment ladder, you stop actually saving people and you actually help people.
yeah,
Because when it comes lower stuff, people don't want to be helped, they want to be saved.
yeah,
And I see this with offers all the time. If you're selling something other than 3K and that's your high ticket offer, you're fucked. Because all you're going to have is people that want to be saved.
yeah,
And I said this to a guy the other day, I used this analogy. I'm in the ocean. You could take this. I'm in the ocean and I'm in a boat, and a boat ahead of me, like, is sinking. And everyone jumps out of the boat, and you're going to have people that swim towards you. But you're also going to have a couple of people that just stay stuck. You're also going to have a couple of people that just literally don't do anything.
yeah,
And you shout out to them and you say, hey, I'm over here. Like, I want to help you. I have a life jacket, I have food, I have water, and everything else. And that person turns around and says to you, who has nothing, no, you come here.
yeah,
They want to be saved. They don't want to be helped.
yeah.
You know, and I said to myself,
Big difference.
okay, there's a big difference between someone swimming to you and someone swimming away from you. And there's only
Yeah.
so many people that you can help. There's only so many people that you can save. And I'd rather pour more of me into people that want to be helped rather than the people that just want me to save their life.
Yeah.
And I don't mean save their life like they're hanging off a cliff. I mean save their life of, like, financially they're not where they need to be. Their skill is not where it needs to be, and they're just never going to make things work.
Yeah.
So to answer your question in a roundabout way, from telling a story, where I want to go, I want and will be the guy where people say, you want high ticket training, you need to figure out how to make sales work. Just go and speak to Bill. Bill
Yeah.
is the guy. That's where we're going, and that's where I want to go, and that's where I see us over the next. I don't want to put time predictions on this, but we've taken a good amount of, I suppose, attention, which is the biggest commodity in this industry, and long may it last. But it's
Yeah.
only going to last if we continue to do what we're doing. We just amplify it. So the biggest thing for me is to continuously get the results,
Yeah.
continuously to fulfill on everything, and never sacrifice fulfillment for profit.
Yeah.
because I always tell people, like, if you take care of your people, they take care of you. So that's where I see
Isn't
it.
that the truth?
The company will grow naturally of continuously to get the fulfillment and the structures and the results. We just put more eyeballs in there. The company will just continue to scale and grow and build. If that's where people want me to say we make X amount of millions, great, kudos,
Yeah.
pat on the back. Who gives a shit? For me, it's about relationships, it's about fulfillment, and it's about continuously. I always tell people, right? This is the last thing I want to say. I always tell people, like, as I mentioned, Kevin Ackamore messaged me this morning. It was like, thank you so much. Very grateful message. I don't have to tell you it all, but very grateful message. And my in my head, I was saying to myself, would he say the exact same thing about me in 6 months' time?
Mm.
And if I have as many people as I can that would do that, I'll always win, and I'll always, be in people's best thoughts.
Mm.
And I think that's the goal for me. Monetarily, like, great, we'll do multiple seven figures. Great, wonderful, kudos. Probably next year, maybe close to eight figures. And all that great
Mm.
stuff. All that stuff will come. And I say that to the team all the time. The team are like, let's pump and let's pump and let's pump. Let's push on and push on and let's, pour more into advertising and this, that, the other stuff. I'm like, no, let's not. Like, everything that's great in your life, as you and I know, buddy, takes time.
Mm.
Like, you have a baby, it takes 9 months. If you had
Yeah.
a baby, if your wife said to you, "Well, I want to have a baby," and the next day you actually had a baby, there's the shine would be taken off it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So I think growing businesses and stuff like that should take time, and it should be hard, and it should be difficult, and it should take a period of time for you to kind of really know how. Like, our company is too immature, as per se, to kind of really go all the way. Do you know what I mean? So
Mm.
gradually keep growing and keep growing, but the biggest thing for me to bring it all back around is the people and the fulfillment
The
aspect.
fulfillment,
Continuously do those two things, everything else will take care of itself.
for sure.
Ahead.
I think that's probably the most important lesson for most people in the coaching space, with agencies, whatever it is. I think that's a really good, really good point to bring up, because I think they get caught up a lot in marketing, sales, and then fulfillment. It's like the thing that they have to do
Yeah.
because people have paid them.
Last 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marketing takes 40%, sales takes 30%, and then the fulfillment aspects is 10. Like, I still do my own sales.
Yeah.
Like, I've probably 150 salespeople that I could call on it at any one moment, a drop of a hat.
Mm.
If I asked them, would you want to run my sales for me, they would fucking
Yeah.
run over broken glass to do. And that's not ego. That's just the
That's
relationship I have
yeah.
with people.
That's the reality of it.
Yeah. And I still do my own. Why? Because
Yeah.
it humbles me.
Yeah.
It
For
humbles
sure.
me to know that I'm still on the front end with my company. I'm still in the game, and I'm still one of the guys, if that makes sense. I think a lot of businesses want to get out of it. A lot of business owners want to get out of their business.
Mm. Yeah. It's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the type of
It's
people
like,
we help. And it's
I want to get more into my business. I want to do more
yeah.
work. My wife is like, when are you not going to work 10 hours a day? I was like, the day I stop working 10 hours a day is the day that I'll probably retire.
Yeah,
I never, I
that's
never
true.
really understood that with business owners. Most business owners want to do nothing in their business. I know a good friend of mine who was running a company for a guy, and the business owner was complaining that he was only making 1.5 million out of the business a year. And I asked him, how much time does he put into the business? He says zero. I was like, so he gets all that money for nothing,
Yeah,
and he's still complaining, and he
and
actually
still
fired my
complaining.
friend. So I think
Wow.
to myself, like, what the hell is going on with some people? I think a lot of business owners, shouldn't be business owners,
Mm.
and have kind of
Yeah,
fluked it, in my opinion. And fluked it with good marketing and good advertising, but that's getting harder as well.
it's getting hard now. Yeah,
That age-old kind of Kevin David aspect of things, promise the sun, the moon, and the stars, and produce absolutely nothing, is a prime example of what you just said. 10% of it is fulfillment.
yeah,
And people are really tuning into that stuff. They're really are you aware of things. There's a
yeah,
couple of people we could drop right now, and people are like, oh, really? I
yeah.
tell you that there's a lot of people out there that are
There's a lot
just
of it.
shadiness.
Yeah, and it's horrible. It's a horrible thing. But I think,
Oh,
yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. I'm very hands on, especially with the sales type
yeah,
side of things. Even with clients, I'll take sales calls. I genuinely enjoy it,
yeah.
and there's nothing that gives me more excitement than closing a deal
When else are you going to be doing, sure?
at any
I always
time.
tell people, like, people say to me, when are you going to stop your sales? When are you going to stop having parts? Like, because I help with the marketing, help with the sales. Obviously, I do 15 hours of fucking coaching a week myself.
Yeah,
Obviously, I can't do it all. I still on the front dead messaging people, sending voice notes to people. People that are interested. I'm still in the DMs. I'm still
yeah,
everywhere. Like, you know what I mean? And someone said to me, when are you going to stop all that? And I'm like, well, what am I going to do then? Like, what?
yeah.
Like, how can I influence the company if I'm not in the company?
If you know, yeah,
Makes no
yeah,
sense. When are you going to stop taking your own sales calls? Probably when I have 40 of them a week to do. Do you know
mm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So
When you run out of time.
I enjoy it. But anyway, that's just me. I'm a junkie for work.
Yeah.
Kind of like the same as me. So there you go.
Well, man, I can see all the hard work is coming to good use, and it's really look, it's really getting out there, and I think reputation. That's something that I really value a lot. Is having that reputation that people know you for something, and I do like what you said before about when somebody comes into your world and they thank you at the very beginning, will they thank you in six months time? Will they send you the same message in 6 months time?
Yeah,
I don't think I've heard that before, and I think that is a massive lesson to take away.
yeah.
So, man, it's been a great chat, man.
I
It's been
appreciate
really
you,
cool.
buddy. No, I appreciate it, and I
Hope that was
appreciate you
fun.
saying it to it. It was loads of fun, and hopefully some lessons in there for sure for people.
It was good, man. It was really good.